What is up, everyone? I'm coming on here for a couple of plays for today. Yesterday had a pretty decent day. We did cash a 6x right here with Taco Tuesday. So luckily Paul Skeens does go over and get 4 strikeouts there. And again, this is the power of these discounts, right? I talk about it on Sleeper. I talk about it on BETR. Taco Tuesday every single Tuesday is nice. As much, flack as PrizePicks gets, and sometimes I'll give them flack for not having good discounts and being a little bit predatory sometimes. This was a very solid discount, and he was discounted down. I don't know what his normal line was, probably 5.5. He's discounted down by about 2 strikeouts, and we do cash him because of that discount there. And then obviously we took a 2-man in soccer, both on Chicago FC. And if we look at that game and how it went, you will see that Chicago had a little bit more possession than Monterey, right? So because they had 51% possession, they didn't dominate in any sense of the imagination, but they did have slightly more possession, causing them to have more passes, right? And this is exactly what I talk about every day. This is why we just cashed a 6x, because these 2 soccer guys had more possession, and you'll see that this guy goes over by about 10, and this guy goes over by about 7 or 6, whatever it is, because they had just slightly more possession than the other team, right? We also have a setup with the other Taco. Of course, I took the Real Madrid guys to go under. If you guys want to copy that entry, be my guest. I don't, care too much, but again, this was a VIP pick that was sent out yesterday. And then right here, guys, was yesterday's play of the day. And of course, we have to wait a couple of days for college football to actually play out here because this game's on Saturday. But again, the theory is that if Hawaii has a bad first half, right, you're going to see college football first half. If they have a bad first half, all these guys should go under together. Why? Very simply, because if the quarterback does bad, let's say he only gets 50 yards, then his receivers are also going to do bad, because that is how football works. The quarterback and the offense is really going to determine, obviously, how the quarterback and offense and the receivers, if they get a lot of yards or not, right? If they have a really bad first half, or if they come out in a couple of 3 and outs, they throw some interceptions, whatever it is, they don't have the ball very much, then these guys should go under together, okay? If the opposite happens and they have a 300-yard half or a 200-yard half, then yeah, they probably will go over together, and that's exactly what we'd expect to see. So we'll have to see. This is going to be the first, one of the first official games of college football season. Of course, we doubled down on Bryce Harper. We took him 2 days in a row. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, he hit for us, and then yesterday goes ahead and hits for us again at 6, okay? So literally, this guy is incredible. They had 1 point, right? They literally had 1 run, and Bryce Harper still goes over, and I believe he had 2 hits in that game. So absolutely incredible. We do have a setup right here. Going into Sleeper, we cashed right here. This pick right here as well went ahead and cashed too. So we cashed this for a 3.1x. We also cashed this for a 3.3x, and then we missed this one for the pick on sale on Sleeper. So every pick that I sent out yesterday or the day before on Sleeper, which was Doc, which was PKL, and which was Snav, all of these guys hit in Counter-Strike, okay? So finding our stride in Sleeper, that is why I always tell you guys to tail my Sleeper entries, okay? The picks on sales are going to do their own thing. They're going to hit about 70% of the time, because again, it's a discount, just like Taco Tuesday. You're going to see that Jacob deGrom goes ahead and misses his discount. He gets pulled out of the game early because he gave up a lot of runs to the White Sox. That's going to happen sometimes, guys. It's baseball. Now, you will see a couple of misses as well, and these misses were extremely close, especially this one right here. And let me move some of this away so I can talk about this. But this one right here literally missed by 1 pass, okay? So extremely close entry. It is what it is, guys. This is how sports betting is going to work sometimes. Sometimes you're going to miss an entry by 1 freaking pass, and it's going to be frustrating. But at the end of the day, here is what sports betting is all about, right? It's all about playing entries that you have an edge long-term in. And this is why I always tell you guys to think long-term about things, because if it were a different day, if the weather was a little bit different, whatever could have happened, this guy needed just 1 more pass. And if he gets that 1 more pass, then that's a 4-man for us. But again, overall, because we cashed this 6x right here with Paul Skeens, we did go ahead and have a pretty decent day and have some setups, of course, but it could have been a much better day if this 4-man cash. But again, I'm not going to come on here and change up anything I'm saying or whatever, right? This is extremely correlated. This guy went ahead and missed his passes by 1 pass, but this is going to happen sometimes in sports betting. You're going to have some close wins. You're going to have some close misses. So this was an unfortunate, very close miss. And then right here, we actually had this set up overnight with the the Betis. I don't know how you say this this team name right here, but Betis versus Valencia, and I also have that game pulled up right here. Betis FC gets 60% possession. Okay, so a much more dominant performance by them. 60% possession. You'll see they have 503 passes. The other team doesn't even have 400 passes, so they have much more passes. And because they had more possession, well, what do you know? These guys go way over, right? And these guys didn't just barely go over. These guys went way over their line, probably by each of them by more than 10. This guy even had more than 20 passes over his line. And then in Valorant, this was a bit of a longer game, so these guys go over together instead of under together, okay? So hopefully you guys are understanding what we put together here, right? We put together things that are correlated. I talked about this one with Chicago FC, it hits together. This one in League of Legends, it hits together. This one misses by 0.5, it is what it is. This soccer play hits together. This Valorant play misses together, but they go over together, right? Even if you go over here, which I haven't got to yet, but this Valorant play misses together, right? So Valorant is also very correlated. It's just correlated in a different way than soccer and League of Legends. It's correlated on the game length. So if the game goes very long, if it's an hour 30-minute long game, then the guys are going to get a lot more kills than if it's a 30-minute game, right? Kind of makes sense. If they're playing for an hour 30 minutes, they're going to get a lot more stats. If they're only playing for 30 minutes, they're not going to get very many stats. So overnight, these two games happened. They were longer games. They maybe went into overtime or whatever it is, and these guys ended up playing longer, right? So again, we have some setups. We had some very close misses. We had a 6x. So overall, a very decent day. I'm happy with that being a Tuesday, everything like that. As we get closer to the weekend, really today, tomorrow, the next day, and of course Saturday, there's going to be a lot of college football picks, okay? So get ready for that. All the lines are pretty much out. I just saw that rush attempts, pass completions, pass attempts are also out, and that's one of my favorite things to bet on these football plays for college and for NFL, and I actually have a pick like that in today's video that I'm going to explain. I'm not going to go over this too much, guys, but I go over this every day. 2026 performance, here's PrizePicks underdog, here's better, here's sleeper, guys. We're up 254 units in 2026 so far, which means you would be up $2,500 if you're just a $10 better. You guys see the record, you guys see the ROI. Again, the record, we lose way more than we win for the very simple reason is that, as I just went over, and I go over every day, right? We play a lot of 4-mans and 3-mans. So the 4-mans and 3-mans are not going to hit very often, but when they do, they're going to pay off a lot of money to us, okay? So very profitable on the year, guys. I want to be up 500 units by the end of the year, which I think is very doable, especially because it's just the beginning of football season. My goal by the beginning of football season was to be up 200 units and then have a 300 unit football season. So we're already up 50 units plus more than that, and we haven't even started the season yet, right? The season is really going to start on Saturday because of the college football week 0 happening, and that is when we're really going to get into the correlated strategy along with soccer, along with esports, along with everything else that we bet on, okay? So if you do want to get into the VIP, guys, the best way to do so is with KALSHI. Text me KALSHI to my number right here on the screen. I'll get you 2 months free of the VIP for signing up for KALSHI. You can do the same thing with NOVIG. You can do the same thing with Sleeper, okay? 2 months free of the VIP with Sleeper, 2 months free of the VIP with NOVIG. NOVIG just released nationwide earlier this month, so if you're in Arizona, I know that was kind of a problem state. I know New York maybe was a problem state. So if you're in any state in the United States, it is now available nationwide, NOVIG is, okay? So get signed up for NOVIG. I know I've had a lot of people text me over these past couple of months that NOVIG was not available, but now NOVIG is available, so you guys can sign up. 2 months free of the VIP. I believe all you have to put in is like $5 to $10 and you'll get 2 months of the VIP with NOVIG, guys. Super simple stuff, all right? So let's get into today's play of the day. I have one pick for you guys, but it's going to be a 4-man, all right? I might transition to more 4-mans. I might go back to some 3-mans. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes. I generally like to play 4-mans more than 3-mans because I think the payouts are better, okay? This is, I believe, a 9x, which is absolutely phenomenal, right? How I think about these payouts is that I like to play anything higher than an 8.5x. If it's an 8.5x, cool. If it's a 9x, great. If it's a 9.5, 10x, whatever it is, then that is absolutely phenomenal stuff. But it's just because that's how the math works, right? So with a 9x like this, all we're really looking for is to hit at least 1 in 8 of these. The reason being is because if we hit just 1 out of every 9 of these, we would be break even. We would lose, let's say if we lost 8 times in a row, and then that 9th one we finally hit, And if they're all 9Xs, you would break even on that 9th one. So if we can hit 1 in 8 of them, so if we could have 7 losses in a row and that 8th one we finally hit, that is how we become profitable. Now, over the 10,000 bets that I've played on this channel over the past 2.5 years on my VIP, we on average hit about every 6.5 to 7 of them, okay? So we actually way exceed those expectations. Now, it sometimes doesn't feel like that every single time. Sometimes you're gonna go 12, 13, 14 dry and then hit one. Sometimes you're going to hit back-to-back entries, right? So it's not as clean as that because obviously it's real life, but that is the theory. We want to hit 1 in every 7 of these, 1 in every 8 of these, and if we do, then we will be profitable. That is why I always tell you guys about being patient, right? I see way too many people join up or whatever it is, and they'll miss 3 in a row instantly, and they'll start getting worried, and it's like, man, these are 3 entries over the thousands of bets I'm going to send the rest of the year. These are 3 entries over the hundreds of bets I'm going to send the rest of this month. Having 3 losses in a row, 4 losses, 5 losses in a row is completely normal, okay? So have that kind of in the back of your mind as I talk about this here, because these are, again, 9X entries and they weigh a lot and they'll pay out a lot if they do hit, right? Of course, how we play these 9X entries is we think about them in 2 kind of blocks, right? So we think about the first block here, which is going to be soccer correlation, and then we think about the second block here, which is going to be college football correlation, okay? So soccer correlation, very simple stuff. I've been talking about this for the past 3-4 months, going back to the World Cup, whatever it is. Again, soccer, it doesn't matter whether you're betting on the World Cup or English Premier League or MLS, US League, or women's soccer. It does not matter. How soccer works is that if you have a lot of possession, you're going to have the ball a lot, okay? So we have Macy Bell playing right here, and we have Riley Jackson playing right here, okay? And as they have a lot of possession, if they do have a lot of possession in this game, then both of these girls should go over together in their pass attempt line, okay? So we're looking for this team to have maybe 53% possession, 55% possession, some of these type of numbers right here. And if they do that, then they should go over their pass attempt line if they get kind of in this mid 50s to high 50s range, okay? Now, if they end up having 45% possession or 42% possession, then yes, you will likely see these girls go under together, which is completely part of the program. We want to see these things, this kind of duo right here, right? This block, we want to see it hit together or miss together. If it hits together or miss together, that is perfectly fine. That just means that our correlated strategy is working. Again, not everything is going to hit or miss together because I can't tell the future, but if that does happen, this is exactly what the strategy entails, okay? So soccer, very based on possession. Again, we've all watched a soccer game. It is like 99% passing, and if there's a lot of possession, there's going to be a lot of passing for these players, okay? Now, football correlation, you can actually correlate football in so many different ways, and it's very simple why, right? Football is based off of players and teams and offense and defenses, and these players obviously interact with people, right? At the center of a football team is the quarterback. So the better a quarterback does, the better a team does, it's going to affect other players on the field, right? Also, if you've ever watched football games, you will know that as a team is winning the game, they're probably going to run the ball more. So as we get into the third, fourth quarter, if a team's winning by 14 or 17 or 10, they're going to start running the ball more to try to waste the clock out. If the team is losing, the opposite is going to be true. They're going to try to throw the ball. Every time that they get the ball, they're going to throw it. So if they do throw it, it's going to be a longer completion. If they throw it and it's incomplete, it's going to stop the clock, right? This is the basics of football. I'm sure we all know this here. Again, there's a number of ways that you can correlate football together. One of them is going to be quarterback, receiver, receiving yards and passing yards, and then one of them is going to be quarterback and running back pass attempts or pass completions, and then the running back on that team rush attempts. Okay, so how this works, guys, it's a little bit more in depth than the basic, just like receiving yard, pass yard, just because that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. But again, if UNC, right, if North Carolina is losing the game, then this quarterback is most likely to have more passes. In that third, fourth quarter, the team, the coach, the play caller, the quarterback, they're going to have more passes because they're trying to win the game and they're trying to come back from behind if they're losing the game. The running back obviously is going to have less chances to run the ball then, because why would you run the ball if you're down 10, 14, 17 points in the fourth quarter? So as you're losing the game, you're going to have more passes, less runs, right? Also, this is also correlated because there's only a certain number of plays that each of these teams get. So let's say if they only have, let's say 25 plays in the second half, well, every play that's a pass, it's obviously not going to be a running play, right? Every play that's a run is obviously not going to be a pass. So these things are actually what's called inverse correlated or negatively correlated. The more that the quarterback's throwing, the less that the running back's going to run, right? And if you think about it, it makes sense. So Why am I taking the UNC guy over? Why am I taking this UNC running back under? Well, I am thinking that UNC is going to be losing this game. Why do I think they're going to be losing this game? It's not because I'm some college football expert, even though I, a little bit am, but I think they're going to be losing this game because of Vegas and how Vegas is setting these odds. TCU is minus 300 favorites in this game. In other words, they're about 75% chance to win, 80% chance to win, according to Vegas, right? So a lot of times we're using Vegas's information, Vegas's knowledge of these teams, of these games, of these everything to determine who is going to win or lose this game. So there's about a 70 to 80% chance that UNC is going to be losing this game. They're going to lose this game. And as they're losing this game, what's going to happen is UNC is going to pass the ball more, run the ball less, and likely TCU is going to be running the ball more and passing the ball less, okay? Again, guys, trust me, it happens. If you want a really good game to look at, it is a game that actually is the best day that we have ever had on our VIP. It was the 2024 Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Eagles go up against the Chiefs by about 30 points by, I think, like halftime or by the third quarter. And if you look at the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes had like 50 pass attempts plus, and the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, I think only had like 22 pass attempts or something like that, because that entire second half, Jalen Hurts only threw the ball, I think, like 3 times. And in the fourth quarter, I think he threw the ball 1 time maybe, because, well, it's the Super Bowl. So if you're winning by 20 points, 30 points, you're just going to run the clock out. And what did the Eagles do? They ran the clock out with Saquon Barkley. They ran the clock out with Jalen Hurts running the ball and doing the tush push. And then if you looked at the Chiefs, whenever they got the ball, they threw the ball every single play that they had, every opportunity to throw the ball, get the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands, and try to move the ball down the field to try to win that game, of course, because it was the Super Bowl. Again, as I just said with soccer, it doesn't matter whether you're playing the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Canadian football, whether you're playing high school football, college, NFL, it doesn't matter. Football is football. The rules of football and how these coaches coach and how these teams think about these things are the same. When you're losing, you're going to pass more. When you're winning, you're going to run more, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you guys have any questions, my number is right here on the screen. I can explain anything further if you are confused or whatever. The main thing that I want to get across, guys, is that you need to understand that we do correlated betting. You need to understand what I talked about earlier about the record thing, where we're not going to hit every entry. But if you can control your emotions when we are losing quite a lot, then that's all you need to do. Because when we're winning, it's obviously easy to control your emotions, because who doesn't like to win? But when we're losing, just get through the loss streaks and you will be profitable long term. That's about all I can say for you, okay? So thank you guys again. I'll wrap it up here and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.